Good evening, folks. Welcome here to Daytona International Speedway here tonight in the IMRC Cup Series race number 11 on the season here at Daytona tonight. My name is Carlos Zimmerman. Alongside me, my broadcast partner, Jessica Shelton. Jessica, it's been an interesting season for these guys so far, but now they come to the granddaddy of them all, Daytona, and it ought to be a fun one tonight.
It should be pretty fun. We've got a lot of people trying to buy into the playoff scenario. A couple people are already in the top 10 with a chance to fall out. It's going to be going all over the place, in and out. All the standings are going to change constantly, especially when we got a few people who are in must-win situations as well.
Absolutely. Guys that are finding themselves in must-win situations tonight. I'm not sure if all of these guys are racing tonight, but going in the points, Lyndon Wright, Philip Teixeira, Robbie Gilvin, Carter Friesen, Charles Belding, Sonny Tallman, and Eric Rodriguez all found themselves in must-win situations. With how just wild this series has been this season, you come to a track like this, you could easily have your season ended, but you can also turn it around with the victory here tonight.
That's right. And one person who wins, someone's going to be out. They're not going to be happy about it, but that's the way the points go. And at the same time, we should comment that Robbie Gilvin will be driving the 2 car, which is usually piloted by Will Goss. And since Robbie will be subbing for Will Goss, it's going to be interesting to see how that affects the actual outcome. If Robbie does win the race, he will be automatically locked in to the playoffs, and he may end up getting enough points, just enough to secure Will Goss into the championship hopeful as well.
Yes, that's a big thing we got to watch out for going into this. With the absence of Will Goss, he's got to substitute with him tonight. His season weighs in the balance of somebody else, so you got to think he's going to be on pins and needles about this whole thing. But with how good of a driver McDowell is, you know, it could pay big dividends for Will Goss tonight.
Drivers, start.
If you remember the last plate race that we covered, it was pretty hectic, especially toward the end of that. So I'm looking forward to see what they'll do this time.
Ricky Johnson is on the pole for this race tonight as the pace car will start rolling these guys off a good-sized field tonight. Tyler Mallon will be starting to his outside. Philip Teixeira third. There's Brendan McDowell. He's in fourth. And then rounding out the top 5 is Michael Norman there in the FRN colors tonight. We're glad you're with us here on YouTube, here on the Flatout Racing Network for race number 11 of the season. Tonight, this is the Civil War 200K here in Season 8 of the IMRC Cup Series as these guys bring it around. And we'll get ready to go racing here tonight at the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway in Daytona Beach, Florida. It's going to be a lot of fun. 50 laps is what's on tap for you guys tonight. We got 3 overtime periods later tonight if needed. Pace car will make the hard left-hand corner in, and Ricky Johnson will get us underway here tonight at Daytona. Green flag in the air at Daytona, and a really, really good start for Ricky Johnson.
Yep, and looks like Rick is going to go right to the front and pretty much pull away, but that high side looks like they're trying to get something gathered up. Meanwhile, in the middle of the pack, it seems like it's a little bit kind of spread out, like some people didn't get going on the start, unfortunately, possibly spinning the tires or being in a higher gear, like second or something, but it seems like on the backstretch, it looks like Rick is going to keep the lead, and he's going to bring the whole inside with him.
Inside line is where you need to be tonight if you're all these guys. Michael Norman getting a little squirrely there through the corner, through the backstretch, but gets it going as just about everybody has trying to settle it out early on. Philip Teixeira has settled into second, but coming out of turn number 4, Ricky Johnson is poised to lead lap number 1 as he'll come through the short bit on the front straightaway and come to the line. He is the lap leader here on the opening part of this race here tonight at Daytona.
Yep, and another threat coming up, we have to look at Dylan Poteet. Poteet's always the threat for these bigger tracks as well. Then you've got Natan. I'm not sure you were here when Natan almost won the race at Pocono, but he's back up here in the front of this. There's quite a few people who have already got wins who are pretty much solidly locked into the playoffs. And it looks like they're pushing it really hard early just to get out and lead and just hold it. Even though there's no points for leading a lap or most laps, it just seems like they would value the track position more currently right now.
Now we're gonna remind here or tell our audience here, cautions are gonna be really interesting tonight. If a contact wreck happens on the racing surface, that would warrant a caution, and or if a car flips over. If a car just spins down into the grass and is off the racing surface, that is not gonna bring out a caution. So we gotta consider that going forward. There's Dylan Poteet was really squirrely through that corner there, as Ricky Johnson just continues to just maintain this lead. As it's turned into about a single car train, you got to go further back in the pack where they're a bit 3 wide further back there. And now they even settle it out back there. But here comes Tyler Mallon with a run to the outside here, trying to get an outside line run going.
Going into 3, DJ Curtis and it looks like Alvarez is falling back as well. There's a little gap between DJ and the car in front of, which happens to be HP Hardy, aka Hezzy Hardy for a lot of people who do not know him. It seems like they're pretty well spread out among their P's and Q's for right now. It doesn't seem like it's going to be that hectic until we probably get to the later stages.
On board right now with Dylan Poteet, who gets a little bit of the apron there, but he keeps it going and keeps on trucking. You see out the back of his car, he's got a deck lid full of Nathan Amoito and then Tyler Mallon to his outside. So it's a lot of action here early on. Tyler Mallon trying to get that outside line working, but it looks to not be working now as a lot of his friends have kind of slipped out. That was very close there with the 22 as he tried to slide down in front of the 41.
Eric Rodriguez moves to the high side, running the 57 Tide colors tonight. It seems to me like that high side is just not going to be well developed unless you get a lot more cars on that higher lane than on the inside. It seems like the inside is where you want to be at for the whole race now. Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see later on if someone's gonna bump someone from that bottom just to get underneath them if that high side doesn't do anything at all.
And I will tell you what, the 22 of Shane Sides almost took out the 95 of Nathan Kiani there on the entering turns 1 and 2 as Sides try to slide down to the bottom. He did, and now Kiani is caught out to dry, and there is no friends up there with him, so he could find himself falling way to the back, as now he does have a friend coming up there in the 77.
Single file pretty much all the way back, like you commented on earlier. I just don't know. If we end up having pit stops, I wonder if everyone's going to pit at the same time, or if we're going to see any people just try to gamble and try to split the strategy. Because if all of them come in at the same time, that's going to be kind of rush traffic, I would say.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Jess. That could mean a lot of big trouble for these guys if they all come in at one time. Still a lot of race to go, though. We're only on lap 6 of 50. Ricky Johnson has led them all. One car way back here. Oop, went a little too far. David Alvarez blinking a little bit there, so he's definitely having some internet issues as he's trying to recover his machine there, as he's just trying to log laps at this point. Still hasn't really lost the pack there. DJ Curtis, it brings up the tail end of the group. Man, oh man, the 91 of Berto nearly lost it there on the front straightaway, but he keeps it
There's
going.
a high side trying to form back there going into 1. They're trying to get themselves lined up, and now it looks like they're going to go back to the bottom and just abandon the option.
Nathan Kiani leading that outside line. Carter Friesen, then the 78. I believe that's Roger Ray trying to work with them on the outside line. It's a 3-car group versus I don't know, maybe a 20-car group as Tyler Mallon up towards the front has started to make a charge. He's got help there from the 22 of Shane Sides. Michael Norman trying to jump up there with him, but decides to tuck back in line. So this may not work out very well for the 18 and the 22, Jess.
Absolutely not. If they can't get this high side going, then it just proves to everyone else that there's no need to go up there, and it's just going to be an ARCA fast all the way through, which you don't want, especially toward the end of this race when you need to be in certain positions to make the moves to win this race. And Poteet gets the apron just a tad bit there.
I've been noticing a few times these last few laps, he has been really rim riding the apron there as these guys fly on by down the back straightaway here at Daytona. Poteet's been really scrubbing the apron there, so he's got to watch out for that the rest of the night as Mallon just squeezes in line in, I believe, the 7th position as we got one car up on the
Michael
side. That's Michael Norman.
Yeah, he's a lap down back here. I just now noticed that back here.
Must have been an issue we did not catch as Michael Norman was in the lead pack at the time, but now he finds himself falling a lap down to the leaders.
Now he's 2 laps down, actually.
Oh, boy. That is not good for Michael Norman. He came into this race 3 points off the playoff bubble.
What happened, Carlos, was he apparently fell out of the server and came back in. So I'm sure that they'll correct that when they have a caution if they do.
Okay.
But it's good that he's with the pack right here, and it's really good that when he fell out, it was really early. So he's got plenty of time to make that up.
Yes, he does have quite a lot of time to make that up as Ricky Johnson just continues to pace the field here on lap 9 of 50. It's about a single car train. The top 10 as they run is Ricky Johnson first, Philip Teixeira second, Nathan Amoito third, Austin Ogo fourth, Dylan Poteet fifth, and the rest of the top 10 is Shane Sides, Tyler Mallon, Dejan Weeks, Charles Belding, and then Brendan McDowell subbing tonight for Will Goss.
And unfortunately for Michael Norman, his woes are continuing because I was just watching him and he just disappeared. So he probably just fell out again. So internet not playing too nice with Michael Norman right now.
No, absolutely not. Not really going well for him. We're about a fifth of the way through this race, so he can still try to maybe go out there and salvage some laps. But for a guy that came in 3 points off the cutoff line for the playoffs, that is not good news for him. He's going to probably find himself falling way further back in points.
Especially when you've got someone like Ricky Johnson who's up front leading this race, and you got Ogo up front. You've got a few other people like the fact of Blake Warren, Daniel Day. You've got these people who actually are kind of a threat at late tracks as well. They're up near the front. They're just calmly riding around. They save points. You know, Michael looks in a really bad position right now.
8 drivers come in tonight with a win and lock themselves into the playoffs. Dylan Poteet, you see him there in 5th. Dylan Schwallenberg, Roger Ray is locked in with a win. He's further back right now. Tyler Mallon is up here inside the top 10. Dejan Weeks as well. Nathan Amoitos, they're sitting in 3rd. Shane Sides up there at the front as well. And Cody Lamas, I don't believe he is racing tonight.
Yes,
he's just outside the top 10.
He's hiding back there.
He tends to do that from time to time. He comes into spots, as you see Michael Norman there coming back onto the racetrack. There are probably several more laps down.
Looks to me like he's going another lap down, so that'll be 4, I believe, down for him.
Maybe race control may be able to get that corrected, but we're not sure yet. But he's just going to try and get out there and log laps, and maybe if these guys start wrecking out, he could get at some positions. But right now, not really looking good for Michael Norman. The two that are sitting on the cusp of the playoff bubble, Will Goss, he is 4 points above the cut line. Alvarez is actually, according to the one I'm reading here, he's tied at the cut line. So this is very interesting to see here as Ricky Johnson, he's leading this race. He's only 1 point behind him. We mentioned Michael Norman, Nathan Kiani, he's 6 points back. Tristan Allen, 8 points back. Austin Ogo, 9 points back. They could easily get themselves into a position where they could
well, you have to remember, Robbie is subbing for Will Goss currently right now, and he's the last time by, Robbie was clicked in at 16 out of the 26 drivers who have taken the field.
Okay, I'm going to correct myself from earlier. It's not Brendan McDowell that's subbing for Will Goss. It is Robbie Gill. I know you told me. It's just I didn't catch it at first. So, but now we got that corrected. Man, Jess, it is just a train right now.
I know. I was just about to comment on that. I've raced plate racing tracks for. I've been in a whole bunch of leagues, and it's really rare to see the whole pack together. We're dealing like 24 or 25 of these guys all together. I see a couple of them making moves out, like Hardy and Lyndon Wright started making a move up to where DJ is from the back stretch, but it's just they're mostly running the bottom. I have never seen like a train this long, this group this much built up like this. So we're going to lap 14 coming to lap 15 right now. We know for a fact there's a good chance they're going to be pitting within the next 6 laps or so.
Something you got to keep an eye on, and if we go clean and green all the way to the finish, which I don't expect to happen, that's a 2-stop race we're looking at here, pitting around lap 20 to 22, and then pitting again at lap 40 to about 42, 43. So you see off the back of Ricky Johnson, the deck lid full of Felipe Teixeira. Teixeira's having a really good run tonight. For a guy that needs to win to get in, he's in a really good spot.
Yes, he is, and you got to remember they nickname, and not trying to slander anyone, but they nicknamed this group the Brazilian Brigade, and he's got a lot of friends. Berto, Teixeira, obviously you got Natan. A lot of these groups, they try to band together, help each other, which in the end could actually come down to what makes the difference of winning this race and not winning it. Having a good teammate with you.
Yeah, absolutely. That they got two of them right back to back, Teixeira and Amoito right there in second and third. Berto a little further back in the field, but he could become a factor later on as well. Here, as we're on lap 16 of 50. For anyone watching, the 70 counter is for chances of overtime if need be. So they extended that 70 laps. The full distance is 50 laps, but we do have 3 overtime periods if need be later. And you know what, Jess? Even though these guys are racing like this right now, they're going to get wild down in the final 10 laps, and we're going to start seeing some cautions eventually.
Oh, absolutely. If you are just watching this, it's like, wow, why aren't they making a move? I mean, I'm with you. I would love to see some more action happening for the the actual viewing community here, but it's going to be more racing when we get down to the nitty-gritty parts of this race. It's going to. I honestly think we're going to have caution after caution because we saw it a while back at the other plate tracks. They cannot keep themselves solid. Everyone wants to win, even if they've already won a race. They cannot calm down. They have to win the race.
No, you're absolutely right. And at a track like this, your track position is essential with how wide open this track is. When you come into pit road, you need friends with you. If you don't have friends with you, you're going to find yourself out of the draft, and you won't be able to keep up with everybody else. And if you're a person that's on the playoff bubble and that happens to you, that playoff bubble could shrink. Could grow a lot more. And you don't want it at a track like this. You don't want it here. You don't want it at Talladega. You don't even want it at tracks like Auto Club in Vegas.
I am going to say that Michael Norman has been given 2 of his laps back, at least at this moment, so he's currently labeled 2 laps down like he was before he fell out the second time. I am going through the field, and there are a couple of drivers that are actually clutching to save fuel right now to try to go a little bit further when the pit stops do happen. No, here we go.
Here we go. Pit stops. 22 of Shane Sides leads about a pack of 5 down. Whoa, in the 43! Spins in the pits. That's Blake Warren.
I have not heard anything massive for like we mentioned before. There will be no cautions on pit road or underneath the apron unless there is a flip.
Watching Shane Sides here with Dejan Weeks in his pit box right behind him as these guys get their service. Left side or right side tires going up, and now the left side should be going up here shortly. No, it's going to be a 2-tire stop.
I would imagine some are taking 2 tires or no tires at all. I don't know about the tire wear, but the fuel is what everyone's worried about. It seems like here we go with more people. Most of the field coming in now. DJ Curtis staying out. There's a spin
on the racetrack. Brendan McDowell is around.
There's more behind it following. There is caution. Caution has been called.
Caution out on the racetrack. First caution of the night. The 39 is around here. Carter Friesen was spinning. Lyndon Wright down here in the grass. Dan Day, he's involved. I
want to point this out. DJ Curtis stayed out, and he is the current leader from being last up to the front right now. And Michael Norman, 2 laps down, looks to be the lucky dog at this point.
There you see DJ Curtis as he is working it right now on the back straightaway right now. He'll be the leader. He'll have to come pit at some point. Couldn't have come at a timely time for him as actually, this is going to hurt him if anything, with this happening in the middle of green flag pit stops. They had not cycled through, so no one was out there riding around. So DJ Curtis is going to come down. He'll find himself at the back again, but, he should have time to recover as we'll head to a replay.
DJ Curtis is clutching, trying to make sure he can make it to the opening of pit road. He's probably going to have to come down whether he wants to or not, even if the pits are closed. I don't think he can make it around another lap.
Trying to find out why we are under our first caution of the night. Everyone was in a train. We mentioned it earlier, how if everyone's in a train, there's going to possibly be trouble as we're bringing in down here. The 38 came down, and then, oh, right there, 66 was slowing down, and the 61 of Daniel Day couldn't slow down. Carter Friesen just spun it out behind him, as did Guaris. But
my opinion is the caution was probably called, and DJ is staying out, by the way. He's going around another lap. What I recognize as the caution is probably when they came back up onto the track and oncoming traffic. I believe that's what caused the actual yellow to be thrown, because it was multiple cars.
yeah, I think that was the case as well, with all those guys spinning up on the racetrack. No one was coming at them, but everyone was in the pits. Yeah, also, but good call by race control to throw a yellow, and that's why we're under our first caution. Just a little bit of accidents coming into pit. No one's going to get really messed up in terms of track position. Like you said, DJ Curtis, he's staying out, so he's going to play the strategy card here early on.
He comes in later, he'll save more fuel when he actually does pit and, get the whole gas and go thing. But these other people can come in and pit right behind him as well, and he'll basically have the same amount of fuel that everyone else has. So I don't know if this is going to be a smart call or not from everyone else, whether they stay out. If it were me, I'd actually come in, and I just heard the call, pit road is now open this time coming up.
So DJ Curtis, he'll have a decision to make down here, coming to the pit road area, if he's going to bring it down to pit. Like you said, it'd be wise for him to come down and pit and get the car serviced, because if you're out there on old tires and then your fuel dwindling, you could be in a lot of trouble with all those guys behind you with fresh tires.
Well, from my experience racing with plate tracks on CTS mod that this is, I think maybe he might have maybe one more lap left in his tank, but with pits being open this time only, pretty much, I think that DJ's going to come down, get service, and he'll probably go to the back. But I'm curious to see if anyone else comes down with him.
Yeah, there you go. The 5 right there. DJ Curtis. Wrong button. Carter Friesen coming with him. Tristan Allen. Guaris is coming in as well, as is the David Alvarez machine. Also coming down with him again is Shane Sides is coming down with him. Not sure if he's going to be coming down for admin purposes. Shane Sides, a very good admin here at IMRC, being able to put these things on. Berto is in as well, as is others. The 17 of Poteet and the 44. And a good amount of the leaders are coming back down, Jess.
Yeah, and then you've got the current leader right now is seeming to be Tyler Mallon. Cody Lamas is, I'm not sure whether he's second or third, because he's playing around up there on the high side trying to clutch, save fuel. So it looks like it's going to be Tyler Mallon, Dejon Weeks, Cody Lamas, Blake Warren, Carter Friesen as the top 5. And looks like poor Rick Johnson had that lead in hand, and now he's going to be not the leader this time. It looks like he's got a little bit of traffic to get through to get back up to that lead to try to win the race and get in.
Tyler Mallon now finds himself at the front. We've seen him a couple times being really dominant at plate tracks. He's found himself up front a lot, so he knows a thing or two of getting around these tracks. So he could hold the lead for a good amount of time. And with where these guys pitted, they're going to be looking to come back in around lap 41 to lap 44, which is right down to the tail end of this thing. So something to watch out for as everybody also come off of pit road. Have not gotten the 1 to go signal yet from race control. Waiting to hear that.
And the good little indication here, you're saying we'll be close to the end of the race. If we do not, there's that chance we might have overtime, yeah, but with about 10 to go, you don't know. Some of these people might be taking a can, or maybe they'll take half a can, thinking they can make it with several laps to go or something like that, because usually half a can can get you about 7 to 8 laps sometimes, depending on where you actually drop down with your fuel. Now, if we have that overtime and they come in and take half a can, and we end up having overtime, some of these people may not be able to make it if we have 3 overtimes and go to the length of the whole overtime clock, So they'll have a decision to make when they come back into pit that final time.
A few more guys are coming back down again. I saw David Alvarez being one of those that leading him down again to just top off the can. Top off the tank, excuse me, or, if some of them didn't get tires, they're going to get tires now. So this is a very interesting move. You see Felipe Teixeira and Roger Ray, they're coming in here. Teixeira running second most of the time.
I do want to say Michael Norman is officially 1 lap down. He got the free pass, so he's he got 1 lap back, so now he is currently 1 lap down, and he's liable for the free pass next time by if he gets another caution. And I don't know if these guys are going to be playing nice now. We're going green this time, apparently.
All right, so the figurative pace car lights are out, which means we're going back green on lap 24 of 50, which gets us close to the halfway point. If you're just joining us here on YouTube on the Flatout Racing Network YouTube channel, my name is Carlos Zimmerman. Alongside me, Jessica Shelton, bringing you tonight race 11 of 16, the Civil War 200K here in the IMRC Cup Series here tonight at Daytona. In beautiful Daytona Beach, Florida, under the lights. Tyler Mallon, your current leader right now. Shane, as he's chosen the outside line to get this one going, as they'll be all getting situated. Shane Sides will roll off second. Third will be Cody Lamas. Fourth will be Blake Warren, who had that pit issue, so that's going to be very interesting to see him up here. Fifth will be Hardy. Sixth will be Ricky Johnson. Seventh, Brendan McDowell. Eighth, Dan Day. Ninth is Nathan Amoito. And rounding out the top 10 will be Nathan Chiani.
And Michael Norman's going to be going to the back since he has the 1 lap down car. He's going to make sure he's out of the way. And this is really interesting. Apparently Mallon went back to the inside playing some head games with Shane Sides here.
Very interesting move by Mallon there. Actually, not a bad move by him because the inside line has proven to be the line to go. But we have yet to have seen a restart tonight. So it's going to be very interesting how this plays out. Everybody's still on the racetrack here in this one. No one has called it quits just yet, to my knowledge. We'll document if that happens throughout the race. But Tyler Mallon and Shane Sides will get us back under the green flag here on lap 24 of 50, giving us 27 laps to go here at Daytona. Green flag back in the air.
And right away, you see a lot of people diving right back on that bottom. Rick Johnson left out the dry here. He needs to get back in line. Everyone going on that bottom. Tyler Mallon with a commanding lead out there. Dejon Weeks, unfortunately, is kind of way back here. He's not with the pack now, apparently.
Everybody now is trying to sort it out single file as they run 26 roaring engines around the great racetrack that is Daytona. Tyler Mallon has settled into the lead. Shane Sides second. Cody Lamas third. Got a lap car these guys are coming up on. Not quite sure who
That's
that
Dejon
is.
Weeks coming out the corner now.
Oh man, that is
Dejon's
not
getting close
good
to the
for
trial.
That's not good for Dejon. He is locked in to the playoffs on a win earlier this season. But for tonight, that's not really going to help his cause.
It looks like Michael Norman is now back to 2 laps down, and Dejon Weeks is now 1 lap down. I'm guessing that was a penalty based on Dejon. It was I'm not really sure.
Dejon should be able to blend in with the pack here, so he's caught that outside line that was starting to slag back there on the restart. As these guys are running well. Whoa, Nathan Chiani a little squirrely back there, going through the back straightaway onto the turn 3 and 4, but he gets it corrected.
Michael Norman apparently fell back out again. Having really, really bad luck tonight, isn't he?
Yeah, just not good luck for him at all in terms of just internet connection. As we pass the halfway point now, as we got about 25 laps to go. Tyler Mallon still leading as he's got the train going, but that outside line is trying to form. I think that's Dan Day that's up there on the top side with help from Poteet and Ogo.
Daniel Day now goes back to the inside. Poteet's going to go back to the inside. It looks like they're trying to get runs on people and trying to make it on the high side going to the corners where the bottom has to check up a little bit, but it just doesn't seem like it's doing much. That inside line is just too much power.
Well, you know, Jess, that entire back end of the inside line just swung upwards, so they're going to have probably a good train of cars to catch the leaders here if they all just set up well, but it looks like a few of them may not try to commit here on the front straightaway. Some of them are, and they're breaking up the tail of that inside line, so these guys led by Dan Day could have a good run, but now some of them are pulling back out.
They keep battling back here. It's going to basically put a big old smile up there on the top 5 group's face right now, especially with Tyler Mallon, who's actually pretty well in control of this whole situation. We're looking back at the playoff bubble and everything. Rick Johnson, he's now back running around in the 6th position. Nathan Chiani, who's 6 points out, he's running around 8. Michael Norman having a really, really bad day right now. Dejon Weeks is apparently back on the lead lap. Michael Norman's 4 laps down. I'm sure that they'll probably get that sorted out as well. Austin Ogo, who's Now just moved up to 12th at the line. A lot of shuffling going on, Carlos, especially mid-pack.
A little out of shape there going into turn number 1. But, you know, Rick Johnson and Blake Warren have stepped up on that outside line, and that has got that inside line very disorganized. That outside line really could be getting a push here, led by Ricky Johnson as they head down the back.
If you recall, a few weeks back at the last play track we did for the broadcast, remember, Poteet kept going to the high side and no one would go with him. Look who's on the high side again, Dylan Poteet. Trying to make something happen up there along with Rick Johnson.
Finding himself 4th in line right now behind Daniel Day, just ahead of Austin Oga. That inside line now starting to form back up again. It's pretty much dead even there, but the inside line does have a little bit more push, more of a tail, if you will, with Philip Teixeira and Cody Lamas and Lyndon Wright backing up the back of that tail with Roger Ray. But the outside line, if they just stay committed there, they could keep themselves just outside the top 10. They may not be able to get to the leaders just yet, but if they stay organized, they could definitely be factors there.
And Blake Warren goes back to the inside, leaving Rick Johnson back out to by himself. But like we say, they have to check up a little bit on that inside line, you know. But when they get to that corner, that high side gets a good run to go. And there is a caution on the track apparently.
Oh, we got wreckers up there in turn number 3. I saw a car on the back of the screen. Not
David Alvarez upside down.
We'll check back here. Oh, yeah, David Alvarez. He's involved. Oh, boy.
Teixeira has officially retired from the race.
Oh, boy, no. That is not good for Felipe Teixeira. Guarisi is back here as well, as is Berto. A couple of the Brazilian squad involved in this accident.
Alvarez has teleported to pit road. There's a lot of damage to these guys here. Well, we know we're going to see this all over again. People are going to come down to pit road. We're looking at about 20 laps. They can probably make it or be right there on the bubble of making it the rest of the way if they all hit this lap or the next couple of laps that we have these cautions. And if they get the overtime, that's going to be the big old question on the race.
You'll see in the replay here, Teixeira right here gets into Guarisi, and then they just all go up the track. Big time accident. And that has Alvarez flipping 3 cars up on their lids. Guarisi, Teixeira, and the 59. Roger Ray, I don't know if he was really collected in this. You see Berto up there as well. But the big ones that took the hit there was Teixeira, David Alvarez, and Guarisi, which is not good for guys like, for especially Teixeira, as he has... you know, it's really not good for Alvarez, as he was just either just hanging on to 10th place in the playoff bubble, and then Teixeira was a must-win at this point, so his chances of making the playoffs may be dashed with this one.
And pit road is open, and everyone's coming in. Carter Friesen stays out on the track. And there's a little bit of bumping going on in pit road. They're kind of hitting each other trying to come in. Everyone vying for the same position. Carter's the only one who stayed out. He's probably going to come in the next time by. And speaking about the people who are involved, I mean, nobody wants to see, like, their chance go up in smoke due to a wreck. I mean, it is really a disheartening issue that happens. But the one positive side on these ideas here is that it happened with only a few cars, and it was toward, like, where no one was really around them, like, for a big pack. So that was lucky for everyone who was up near the front and mid-pack. Could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, definitely could have been a lot worse. That wreck involving just a good amount of cars. Guarisi, a lot of the Brazilian guys. Guarisi was involved. Alvarez, and then also who was the big one, Teixeira. So that's not good for them in terms of points. But they're hoping to maybe bounce back eventually. But right now, not looking really good for those guys that were trying to hang on to a playoff spot or get their way into the playoffs.
Yeah, I have not heard anything about the next, I don't know how many laps we got before we go back to green here. But I don't know. They're racing pretty hard. Everyone wants that bottom. They're trying to make something happen on that high side. It's just not happening. But I have a feeling toward the end of this race that high side will become a big factor.
No, the high line will definitely be a factor, as you saw it there on that green flag run, that it was definitely starting to become a factor. Carter Friesen stayed out that first time around, but he'll start bringing it down in here as well. Looks like Hardy and Wright are going to join him. So that's going to hand the lead back over to Tyler Mallon, who came off first in pit lane. So his picker doing a really good job tonight. Ricky Johnson second. Brendan McDowell finds himself up into third now. Nathan Kiani fourth. And I believe, as actually they'll reset here, DJ Curtis fifth. Dylan Poteet sixth, Dan Day seventh, Shane Sides eighth, Nathan Amoito ninth, and Austin Ogo is going to round out the top 10, I believe. Might be wrong, and that actually no, Amoito is going to round out the top 10. Everyone's just all over the place at the moment, as it is 1 to green though, as we just heard from Race Control.
I'm looking at the front here, Carlos, and you've got Mallon taking that inside line, and yes, Rick Johnson stuck up on the high side again, unfortunately. But what I'm looking at is you've got Nathan Kiani right behind Rick Johnson. Kiani has a little bit of damage on his car from what I'm looking at. I'm not sure whether how much damage he has or anything, but it's showing damage on my end. If he does have any damage, it'll be interesting to see if he can keep up with the field or not. And we have another retiree apparently.
Not able to figure out who that is. We'll get that to you in just a moment. But as they line up double file down the back straightaway here, then they take the green. It'll be on lap 33 of 50, which will give us 18 laps to go at Daytona. Jess, that doesn't seem like a lot at Daytona, but a lot can happen in that time.
And like a little thing I was bringing up earlier, they can go about 18 to 20 laps on fuel. Now, the question is, are any of them going to risk it if we have another caution? That's the question. If we have, like, the overtime, are they going to try to risk it and try to clutch the safe fuel to stay out, or will they actually all keep coming into pit during these overtime issues if we have it?
I'm going to err on the side that, overtime is going to probably be bound to happen. These guys will start getting wild down towards the end of this thing, and it could get really, really crazy. So if they want to play the strategy card and play for a risk, I say go for it. But, you could end up hurting yourself if that were to happen. But the green flag is back out in the air, lap 33 of 50 on the board, and that'll give us 18 to go. And Tyler Mallon, another good restart, and I think McDowell spun the tires.
Either that or he was a little bit higher gear there. It looks like the high side wants to form up now. Looks like Mallon's trying to figure out if he wants to go up there or if he wants to stay on the bottom. He's running the middle line. Now he's going to go up to the high side to block that high side line that they've got going.
He's trying to kill that momentum of Ricky Johnson, but it is not going to work for long. He slams the door on Ricky Johnson, who tries to cross over right in front of McDowell, and now Ricky Johnson finds himself on the inside now with not a lot of help.
That high side's getting gathered out. They're looking to see what they can do, especially if they test the waters now. They'll know what they can do later on in this run. And like we said before, Poteet's about there too, and I'm not sure if Kiani is a little off the pace. It looks like he's okay somewhat with the draft zone because he's got someone behind him. Rick Johnson goes right back to the lead to be right where he left off at the beginning of this run.
They're a little bit wide back here. I'm trying to see. That's the 77 that's caught on the way high side.
Carter Friesen dropping back. I think what Carter's doing is he's trying to play it safe, fall back, ride a little bit, and wait for these guys to wreck it up, and he'll just gain advantage just from that position instead.
Ricky Johnson now settles back into the lead, the guy that dominated the first half of this race before we had our first caution of the night. I was going to say the bad thing was for that outside line is that inside line finally got organized, and now that is showing the speed once again with Johnson, McDowell, and Curtis leading the way as Poteet shifts lines down to the bottom. He's now the 6th car on that inside line.
Well, when Mallon went up to the high side to block the run that Rick Johnson had, it pretty much slowed down everyone behind Mallon at that point on that high line, and they all went to the bottom trying to go there, and that pretty much killed any run that the high side had. But if they be patient, they might be able to form it back up, but it just seems like a lot of them are going down. There's a car on the bottom.
And that's going to allow Mallon to slide in line. That little mistake there by Poteet, that's going to really joggle up everybody behind the leaders. I think they saved it, though.
They did save it for the moment in time being, but that high side is trying to get back for them because back here you've got Carter Friesen in the 77, you got the 78, It just seems like they're trying to get something going, but nothing's going to work right now, unfortunately.
I think they're going to mostly back out here, as you saw Dan Day slide back down to the bottom, and those outside lines really just going to slide to the back of this long snake, and the snake will reform once again with Ricky Johnson leading the way.
Boy, Chris. Well, I mean, Carlos, at the very beginning of this run, everyone was nice, calm, minding their P's and Q's, and pit stops happened, and after that, it's just been really hectic ever since.
You think it's hectic now? It's going to get really hectic when we get inside 10 laps to go, which is, believe it or not, just 4 laps away, as these guys just continue to log laps here, and as the snake continues about a 5-car outside line, really not going anywhere right now. Your top 10 as they run is the leader, Ricky Johnson, in first, Brendan McDowell second, GJ Curtis third. Dejan Weeks has worked his way back to fourth after getting the free pass. Tyler Mallon fifth. Rest of the top 10 is Dylan Poteet, Shane Sides, Nathan Amoito, Dan Day, and Robbie Gilvin, subbing for Will Goss, has worked his way up to the top 10.
And there's a wreck back here.
And the caution is out. That's Tristan Allen.
It looked to me like pits are closed right now, but it looked to me like I was actually about to comment on how the 20 of Charles Belding has been running. He's been running very clean, very careful, managing himself pretty well, and he was with the pack. I was gonna comment on everything else, and right as I was looking for that moment to give him credit, car comes right down to try to get in that hole. Just wasn't enough room there.
We'll check it on the replay here. What happened to the 39 of Tristan Allen? Jess said it there. The 39 just came down, and then there was not. They thought he was a hole. There was a hole there. That was not the case. So the good news for Tristan Allen is the only thing he probably did was flat spot the tires, so he could just come down and get 4 fresh Goodyears and then bring it back around. He'll be at probably the tail end of the longest line. But with how everything played out now, that enables these leaders now to just come down, get a full tank of gas, and they may be good to go to the end. Barring the overtime periods.
I'm trying to think about it math-wise here. It looks to me like they're going to pretty much be able to make it to lap 60 if they pit here, roughly. Maybe lap 58, 59-ish. But they should be able to make it. We should be okay probably through the end. But I don't think we're done seeing the end of the racks, honestly.
You'll see here on the back straightaway here on our spectator cam that he tried to come down. Yeah, Belding was just there's nothing that Belding could have done. Man, look at that car lift up off the ground, the 39. It luckily landed back down on all fours. But so yeah, like I said, he may just have a little bit of left rear damage, but that might be it there. Other than that, flat spot the tires, he'll be able to get it back going, and that's why we're under a third caution of the night.
Pits being open, it looks like most of everyone's coming back down. A couple people look like they're going to stay out. I'm not sure if they will or won't.
It's McDowell. McDowell makes a bold move as everybody else is coming down. You'll see.
He's got a couple people with him staying out.
Yeah, you see McDowell coming around here up on our screen here. I just realized that's not a good camera. Ricky Johnson brings it in, and you'll see the race off of pit road here as Johnson is in, and it looks to me maybe gas and go for a lot of these guys, and that is the case as Ricky Johnson gets away. I think
Rick Johnson, Tyler Mallon, and Dejan Weeks come off in that order.
Curtis 4th, Poteet 5th, Day 6th, Hardy comes out 7th, Amoito 8th, Ogo 9th. And then 10th place will be Kiani. But like we said, some guys chose to stay out. The 91
only
has stayed out, as has McDowell.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure they'll be coming in this time by, if not the last time around. I have not heard that we're going green or 1 to green yet. You hear, I mean, if you're riding with McDowell, you can hear him clutching, trying to save a little bit of fuel. But honestly, I don't really think it's going to matter. I honestly don't think we've seen the last wreck here yet, Carlos. I really don't.
I don't think we have either. We've had a couple bit of small ones, if you will, but the big one has yet to have happened. That is the thing we got to watch out for at a plate track like Daytona or Talladega. The big one will strike at some point. Someone will make a mistake, try to hop in a line like Tristan Allen did, and then get turned around. But this time, it could be a guy trying to move to the outside, and he could get hooked. These guys are lining up double file, so I don't know if they're going to go green now. It looks like they're going to try.
Roger Ray's trying to catch up. I don't think they're going green. They got some people who needs to come into pit road, I would imagine.
Oh, it looks like.
Are they? They're
I
going
guess they're
green, aren't
lining
they?
up. And they're going to call it off. Oh man, McDowell.
They were waiting for
Race control just called it off there at the line.
They were waiting for Roger Ray to come, and he was almost 2 seconds back. That's why they called it off for the current moment.
So they'll go around one more time, and we'll go green exactly at 10 laps to go here at Daytona. Brendan McDowell will be your leader. Berto will be in second. Ricky Johnson third. Tyler Mallon fourth. Dejan Weeks fifth. Excuse me. Got that back. No, wait, no, I have that right. They're just not lined up right at the moment. Sixth should be Dylan Poteet. No, sixth will be DJ Curtis. My goodness. Dylan Poteet seventh. I'm not going to even try anymore. These guys, I don't think they're in the right spot. But regardless, I think that's Hardy back there, Day, and then Austin Ogo should round out the top 10.
Are you good now, Carlos?
I think I am. I don't think these guys, some of them just are not in the right spots. I think they'll figure it out here in a bit. But regardless, Brendan McDowell's going to lead these guys back to the green. And this is a very interesting move here by Brendan McDowell. He is definitely on older tires, and the fuel tank could be dwindling. But he's one of those guys, I think, that is playing that strategy, waiting until the last bit because he pit under that last caution. So he may be clutching it here and getting ready to try and save fuel when it comes time to the end.
He's probably expecting to have he's probably expecting to have another caution to come out to save him.
I think, that you might be right, that he may be expecting that as well, so that's going to be something to consider. But here we go. They're going to come out of turn number 4 as they're crawling at 60 miles an hour right now, but they're about to go up through the gears and get up to close to 200 miles an hour here at Daytona. 10 laps to go on the board as Brendan McDowell is going to be leading them to the green here.
Watch in case Brendan spins the tires like he did last restart.
We'll see what he does here, and it doesn't look to be the case, but Berto spun the tires, it looks like, as Mallon couldn't quite get up to speed.
Mallon looking to go 3 wide. That's not going to work too well. There they go.
That's not going to work, and Berto's around. Caution is out again.
Mallon tried to force it 3 wide, and it got really tight on him.
Dejan Weeks and David Alvarez also collected. Luckily, only a 3-car incident, and it doesn't look like there's a lot of damage to these guys.
And what do we just say? That just saved Brendan McDowell right there. If he wants to come down and pit, he's more than welcome to. And then you've got Rick Johnson sitting up there ready to take over the lead. And remember, Rick Johnson's 1 point currently out of the playoff bubble, so this is really looking good for him at this moment.
So we'll go back and take a quick look as to what happened. You saw it there, Berto, as Mallon tried to squeeze it in there 3 wide, and it just did not work at all. Again, luckily, they were lucky that not more cars were involved in that, because I thought the 91 was going to fly back up the track.
I mean, I thought when Mallon made that move, it was really, really sketchy to me, because the car in front of him didn't get a good restart, and when that happened, Mallon decided he wanted to try to go ahead and get around him, which I don't blame Mallon for doing, but with it being that close, I expected Dejan to come to the right and go up the track. I didn't expect him to go down below the apron like that. So luckily, he went down that way instead of going back in the opposite direction.
Now, Alvarez just spun it out by himself, but you saw Mallon there, man. He just closed up so quick. And that's why Weeks and Berto got sent around. This is good news for Berto, though. He's able to come down and get service, but not what he wanted. But then again, he did spin the tires, so Mallon had to react quickly. So I don't know if I can necessarily blame Mallon, but, he could have just backed off and, tried to get a run later whenever Berto started to lose more speed.
Well, in this case, it's more of a common courtesy if you spin the tires and you got someone all over your back bumper and you're a little bit off the pace. Because remember, he's probably got damage from early when he was involved in that wreck that we had. If I were Berto, I'd be like, okay, well, I just spun the tires. I'm not really up to full 100%. I'm just going to all the way up. But Berto was trying to hold his on, and honestly, 10 to go. You can't blame him for wanting to hold his own line at that point. We are going green this time, apparently.
Alrighty, so with that, that'll give us about 8 laps to go in this one.
McDowell stayed out too, and now that puts Rick Johnson on the high side, which is the disadvantage. But what I think also happened was, I think Berto was in second gear, and most of these plate drivers who have a lot of experience underneath them, they like to start in first gear, which would pretty much explain why Tyler was able to get a good run like he was.
No, you're absolutely right. Very interesting move, though, is this, that Brendan McDowell stays out again. So he had a good restart last time, but it's a very interesting move by him. I don't know if it's wise, but we're going to see what happens here. McDowell is going to be the leader. Ricky Johnson second. DJ Curtis will now line up on the inside third. Fourth, Dylan Poteet. Fifth will be the 30 of Hardy. Sixth, Austin Ogo. Seventh, Dan Day. Eighth, Nathan Amawido. Ninth will be Nathan Chiani, and 10th will be Blake Warren. A lot
now,
of
Tyler
right
Mallon.
now.
Mallon being back here in 11th, he's going to be one that wants to go up, even though he's already pretty much locked in. He wants to win this no matter what, I guarantee it.
There's a lot of guys up here at the front that are on the outside looking in terms of the bubble, and they're up here inside the top 10. They're going to see a chance here as Brendan McDowell gets them underway. 8 laps to go here as McDowell, another good start.
3 wide back here already.
Woo, boy, they're getting squirrely back there around Charles Belding, and then among others
wide,
as well.
several rows deep.
Back there.
They got several rows deep, 3 wide, and believe it or not, that 2 car of Robbie Gillen, who's subbing for Will Goss, he's caught up on that high side as well,
Warren,
so he's got to do something.
He's in a good spot right now, but I think he sees it now as McDowell continues to try and defend the lead as they head down the back straightaway. Big push from DJ Curtis. Now McDowell getting a little squirrely. They're going to be 3 wide for the lead with Rick Johnson on the top side.
Meanwhile, back here, they're still 3 wide with Charles Belding being put in the middle. They're all trying to sort themselves out back here, but that high side, they're trying to form it up now. It's go time for these guys.
But again, the thing for them is that inside line is starting to be looking a little bit more organized. Rick leads at the line with a big-time push from Dylan Poteet. 7 laps to go as these guys are all nose to tail as they head to 1.
Going in 1, Poteet trying to do something with Rick Johnson. McDowell is going to edge a little bit ahead right now because of that inside line getting formed up. This high side is starting to fall back. Robbie Gilman's trying to make moves on Tyler Mallon back here, and looks like this whole high side is just about to fall apart. And once they can get something formed up, they've only got a few laps left.
And there we go! Big one, there it
Big
is.
one.
Caution flag out once again here on lap 44 of 50.
I wonder who on earth wasn't involved in that one.
Oh, there's a mess of cars here in 3, Jess.
I'm watching, right now I'm on board with Tyler Mallon. Mallon goes into 3, and he just backs it down so much, and everyone goes flying in. Mallon goes to the apron, and he's able to avoid the whole issue. He almost got tagged in the back, but him and, I think it was him and Chiani both got through it just fine. It might have been Alvarez. Yep, him and David Alvarez got through it. Carter Friesen, who's been trying to play the clutching game, he got through it as well.
I'm trying to figure out here who exactly it started with. I know I saw the 41 out of shape, but then everybody else just piled up around him. I'm looking on the Daniel Day perspective as, man, I think
they're saying that Austin Ogo is cleaning the wreck, unfortunately. And remember, Ogo's someone who's on the outside looking in, and he's 9 points back. So a lot of these non-playoff drivers that are trying to get into the actual playoffs, they were involved, and this is just going to hurt them completely.
You see him on the replay here, heading down the back straightaway. The 41 was the first one I saw get out of shape. I thought he had help from the 48 there, but everyone just pushing nose to tail, and then the field just blocked up from there. 41 luckily ended up on all 4s, but you see a bunch of cars back here. Shane Sides, Charles Belding, Blake Warren, Dan Day, Austin Ogo, of course, the 80 of Lyndon Wright, Nathan Chiani, a lot of guys that were either in must-win situations like Lyndon Wright or Charles Belding, and then, of course, guys on the playoff bubble like Austin Ogo and Dan Day.
Just a really bad deal for a lot of these guys who aren't in the playoff scenario and trying to get in. They are must-win situations. A few points back, like Ogo, like we said, he was 9 points back, and this is just going to be really, really disheartening for these guys. But someone who's really loving this issue that's happening is the driver of the 93, which is Rick Johnson, 1 point out. It looks like he's going to be able to get in real easily now.
Heading down the back straightaway here, we'll ride on board with Eric Rodriguez, who did get involved just a little bit, but got a good frontal view of this wreck. This is right behind here on Shane's sides. He's going to get involved there as everyone. He's trying to slow down, gets into Shane there, finds up into the wall. I think he was the guy that got the least amount of damage despite having to scrub the wall. But, oh my goodness, just an incredible view out of the 51 Tide Machine.
And Eric Rodriguez, a little bit of damage. I don't know if that's going to affect them in the long run or not, but I hope it doesn't.
I'm looking here. Shane's sides is still here.
If I were you, if you got a moment, if you're still looking at that replay, there's 2 people I would like you to spot on that one, and that's the driver of the 18, which is Tyler Mallon, and the 59 of David Alvarez, because they were able to weave and wiggle their way through with really good conditioning with their cars and all. They got through that, and they're still in pretty good condition up at the front, ready to go back to the green soon and try to see if they can win it. We've only got a handful of laps left before overtime.
That view of Tyler Mallon. He's coming down the back straightaway here, getting past there by Gilvin and Friesen, you see, but then you see all hell break loose in front of them, and then Mallon just on the brakes, on the brakes, on the brakes. There's Gilvin subbing for Will Goss. Daniel Day sliding down towards him into the grass. Blake Warren almost got into him there. Then going by Ogo, and an incredible miss there by Tyler Mallon. And that's got him in a really good spot right now for Tyler Mallon, a guy that is currently, he's locked into the playoffs right now, sitting 4th in points. But this is really good news for him to be to just help his case with that.
I believe we might be going back to green here, Carlos.
And that indeed looks to be the case. It looks like to me, I'm not sure who was leading at the time of caution, but we're going to find out anyways. We're going to get ready to go back to green here.
Brandon McDowell was leading.
Brandon McDowell was leading. He's going to get on the gas. 4 laps to go here at Daytona. Big time push from DJ Curtis as Hardy spun the tires there on the inside.
And Rick Johnson's going to fall victim to that high side now, unfortunately. He's going to go to the back a little bit.
Slides in 3rd.
And he's got Poteet right behind him.
Hardy's the man that's going to be caught on the outside left to dry. DJ Curtis really giving a big-time push. He's trying to keep other guys behind him, but can't keep him behind for long. Here comes the 93 with help from the 17 and the 36 as McDowell leads by half a car length into 3.
Mallon trying to figure out if he's going to make a move or not on Carter Friesen back here. He's got 3 cars on that high side. Now Mallon's going to swap back down, cut the 2 of Robbie Gilvin off currently, and it seems like that inside is just trying to focus and get that run going. That high side wants to go, but they got no help up there. No, well, actually, here goes Robbie Gilvin up there.
Here comes Gilvin with a little bit of a push from Nathan Chiani, but McDowell continues to lead. What Curtis needs to be wary of is to not hook the 66 as he could send him back up into the pack and take out more cars. 3 laps to go here. McDowell right now leading the way with Curtis right behind him. Look at Roger Ray up there, 3rd car in on the inside line. And Tristan Allen, who spun and brought out a yellow earlier. He's back up here at the front with 3 to go.
And if you also remember, no, it wasn't, but at the very beginning of this race, DJ Curtis was running the back. That caution came out, and look at him reorganize himself way up in the front now. Tyler Mallon goes to the high side to see what he can do with Gilvin.
That outside line looks a little bit more together. 2 laps to go. McDowell really played the strategy out tonight. Not sure what his situation is on fuel and tires. He's up front, so that's really, really hurting him in terms of fuels and tires.
The high side's pulling even now.
Johnson now even with Curtis.
We got 2 to go.
2 laps to go as they head down the back straightaway. If they take the white flag, the next flag ends the race. They're all, oh my goodness, this is going to be wild finish. Rick Johnson dead even with a big-time push from the 17 of Poteet. McDowell trying to hold his own on the inside as they're going to come out of turn 4, and they'll see the white flag out of 4.
This high side's got their act together now when it counts, haven't they?
Yeah, they do. Here we go. White flag in the air. Next flag ends the race. McDowell leading on the bottom, trying to see if he could punch his ticket to the playoffs with a win tonight. Rick Johnson to the outside, trying to do the same thing. Even if he doesn't win, he'll find himself probably in a bubble spot. Car on the apron, Ogo.
Side by side as they come onto the backstretch. I don't know what's going to happen here. They're going to probably start making moves here.
Thought about trying to block Rick Johnson, but that could have ended up hurting him, as that killed a lot of momentum that he had. Dead even as they head through 3. Poteet gonna maybe try and make a move here off the final corner. Dead even as they come. Here they come for the checkered flag. They're all over the place further behind them, as Rick is gonna get a little squirrely. McDowell with a little bit of advantage, wrecking behind him. They're side by side. Who's it gonna be? I think it's McDowell. Big wreck at the end.
Officially at the line, they're saying Brendan McDowell has crossed the line as the leader.
Wow. What a finish.
That eyesight didn't come into play until that last second, but they had it, they got themselves together, and they went for it, and they went for broke.
Oh my goodness, McDowell really just pinched Johnson down the front straightaway, but you do what you got to do to win these things. Oh my goodness, I thought Curtis was going to have a run on the bottom, but man, McDowell just stuck it out there and pushed and pushed and pushed, and he apparently he hung on for the win.
And I'm looking currently at the roster. McDowell is not eligible, I do not believe, to get into the playoffs because he hasn't had the required amount of starts, unfortunately. But a win is a win nonetheless.
You'll watch him here on the replays. They came out of turn number 4. It was a wild one. That, here comes McDowell. Johnson with a push from Curtis pushing as they wrecked behind him, and then at the line. Wow, just a photo finish there. I'm not sure what the telemetry was on that, but McDowell had Johnson by about a nose.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I believe Rick Johnson's going to be really happy with this because it's going to put him into the playoffs no matter what, I believe.
Yeah, that's going to be definitely good for Rick Johnson there, as Brendan McDowell is breaking it down here in the in the grass here, celebrating his win tonight here at Daytona, and a great win at that for him. He's got a damaged car and everything after getting into the catch fence there, just past the start-finish line, but still has enough left to celebrate. And a great win for that young man right there.
I mean, well, if we look further back at the field, I mean, I'm not going to take away anything from any of the people who made the moves like they did. I mean, yes, it was kind of aggressive at that end, but like we said earlier, you got to do what you got to do to win these, especially when the playoffs that are on the line for a chance to win the championship and everything else going on at that moment. Whether you've already won or not, you want to get another win just to, have that little bit of a oomph going in. Rick Johnson finishes second currently, and it looks to me like he's going to be able to get in with that 1 point behind at the moment. You have, if we look back, look at Robbie Gilman subbing for Will Goss. That might be enough to get Goss in now.
As you are now in the post-race wind down here, we'll be able to break it down, and you'll get to talk to your top 3 finishers here tonight in an incredible event at that. Oh my goodness, the way they I don't even know if we got the right finishing order here, as some things happened there down the stretch.
No, Carter stayed out to what it was after everyone got done and he crossed.
Okay, so if I just push everyone up 1, that should be right.
I would think so.
I know 3 because they were 3 wide there at the line.
I would imagine Brendan McDowell won that.
Yes. Yeah, no. Yeah, Brendan definitely won. It's a matter of who finished second or third between.
You have to remember we had overtime, so there's extra laps, and someone probably went back around and crossed the line. They get the top spot as a joke.
Yes. So,
but are we ready to start interviewing people? What do you think?
Yes. You're gonna hear from DJ Curtis, Ricky Johnson, and our race winner Brendan McDowell. We're gonna start with who I believe ended up third, and that was Ricky Johnson. I could be wrong at that. But we'll go ahead and bring him in here for
you. You want me to go ahead and bring him in?
I have him right here. Oh, man, Rick. This is Carlos Zimmerman, Jessica Shelton in the Flatout Racing Network broadcast booth. If you got us, Rick, man, that was a heck of a finish. You had quite the push there on the outside line there throughout the race. You dominated the opening half of the race. How did it feel out there for you, and how satisfied are you with wherever you finished? Because I don't know if you were third or second.
Second. I felt satisfied. I got the goal accomplished that I accomplished. I wanted to make sure I got in the chase, and I got in the chase, and that's ultimately what matters. It's a good racing up there for a while there with Brendan and Dylan. Michael and Dylan were helping me out during that race to make sure that, I was in a good position still in the points, and, we just brought it home and made sure.
Jess, if you have anything for Ricky.
Seems to me, Rick, it looks like you and a few other people, I mean, that high side wasn't going anywhere, and then you guys finally got your P's and Q's settled to try to do something up there. I was really curious about Brennan because Brennan stayed out, and I was expecting him to come down the pit road to at least top off a couple of times, and he kept putting you in an awkward position on that high side.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I could make it on fuel just in case, we got any green white checkers. He took the risk. I just wanted to make sure nothing happened there that was going to cost me, a good finish and a chance to fall out of the chase on points or what have you. So I figured better safe than sorry, and Dylan's a very good pusher, so we just did whatever we could there at the end of the race to get it done. We almost did.
With the knowledge that there's no points for leading a lap or leading the most laps or even getting the pole, was it your goal to try to stay up near the front the whole time no matter what?
Pretty much, just to know without a shadow of a doubt that I was going to be in the chase on points since it was so tight. And to stay out of all the mess, I figured I'm either going to be at the very front or the very back, and that was basically the strategy.
Well, you and I have raced quite a bit, Rick, on these plate tracks and all, and here's what I'm curious about. We're sitting there running these plate tracks, and I don't think I've ever been in a league. I can't recall. I mean, of course, there's a couple of leagues that have smaller fields, but with a field of over 20 drivers running single file on the bottom for that long, that must have been kind of getting pretty annoying to you, ready for someone to make a move.
I didn't mind it whatsoever. Like I said, the ultimate goal was to get in on points, and if I would have gotten wrecked there, I mean, it's Daytona, anything could happen. I could have went from being in a fabulous position to being out on points. So, especially with the format we have here.
Well, you have to remember Brendan McDowell is not eligible for the playoffs, and he just gets a normal win to enjoy himself. And if you look at how it's set, you're the first person with the contention to do something, and you were 1 point out. I'm pretty sure you're in now, most likely.
No, absolutely. I know without a shadow of a doubt with that finish that I'm locked in. But that's all right.
Hey, and that was just an incredible run for you tonight. I know a win at Daytona would be something huge, but you get how you get them. You're in the playoffs. Real quick before we let you go, one more question, and then we'll let you do some shout outs. What's going to be your mindset going into this playoffs? 5 races, if I'm not mistaken, and what's going to be your mindset with being one of the last few guys into this playoff?
Try to stay calm, stay consistent, and hopefully not die.
There you go. That's all you can really do in situations like that. Good run for you tonight. Second place. Couldn't get the win, but that was good enough for you. Anybody you want to shout out before we let you go?
Shout out to Mr. Michael Norman over there for moral support and helping me out, keep me aware for my other contenders where the points were at there to make sure that, I was going to be in on points, and Dylan Poteet for working with me, HB Hardy for coming out and racing with me. I love racing with him. Brian and Kathy Boyles over at Boyles Trucking. I know I don't usually wear their sponsor in this series, but those guys have done a lot for me, and I hope they're watching out there. Anybody else watching out there? Thank you for your support and watching, and hope you all enjoyed the race.
Alrighty, that was Rick Johnson finishing up second place tonight. He's in the playoffs, folks. We'll see how he does going forward. Good job tonight, bud.
Thank you.
We've got DJ Curtis below, along with the race winner. Who you want to move up?
We'll go ahead and talk to DJ Curtis. Third place finisher tonight, DJ Curtis. Man, I thought you may have had a shot at those two at the end when they were bouncing off each other. You know, we've seen it many times at Daytona where the two front leaders, they go at each other, but they forget about the third place car. And that was you tonight. You ended up third, but after all of that, but man, let me hear from you. What happened? How'd it go for you tonight?
I mean, I was just initially gonna try and off track and help out with Shane, but I was like, screw it, let's just race the whole thing. Just chilled in the back at the moment, got lucky with the first caution. I was surprised actually I gained like 10 spots or something like that. I was like 23rd in the back. And then from there, just kind of just chill in the front from there on out, played strategy right, and then just at that rate, I tried to make a move on Brendan McDowell there, and it just didn't really work out. So I decided to just push him from the rest on out, and from here on out, I thought Rick was actually going to get him off of turn 4 in the last lap, but they rubbed fenders, went for the inside to see. I knew I wasn't going to get there in time, but make it cool, make it an exciting finish, and I'm sure you guys were thrilled to watch the action at the end there. So a couple of angry drivers after that, but more or less, though, I actually wish I was in the freaking booth with you guys, but you guys are a organization that does this, so you guys are much more organized than, let's say, a traditional offline league in NR and stuff. So good stuff. Yeah, thanks for actually bringing me up here. So it's awesome to get third, surprisingly third, that is. Didn't expect much out of this race, but got a lot out of it at the end.
Well, the one thing I was happy with was no warp wreck from you this time.
I didn't surge forward and Back to the Future style like that one IDOS race. So
that was a Daytona, by the way, when you did that.
It was.
Yeah,
I remember that.
But
killed a good amount of the field because of it.
So I was watching you when you started out, DJ. You were, I made the mention about you early in the race. You were so far back. I mean, there was a gap between you and the cars in front of you. You were hanging out in the back. It just seemed like you were trying to play it safe, like you really didn't care about pushing it. And then all of a sudden, that caution comes out. You stayed out. What I thought you were going to pit the second time by, but you never did. You pit the third time by, I believe, and somehow, some way, there you are.
True mystery, honestly, because I thought I would be further back in position, but that really wasn't the case. I guess others wanted to pit because of the top off on gas, because when that first caution came out, we still had to pit, I think, one more time, so fuel was still kind of a big concern, and I think that's what a lot of people were just doing. I was like, I kind of need to pit, so I'm almost out of gas.
How did that feel when that high side finally got their act together and started going, and you were stuck on the inside line wondering what in the world they're actually making it work when no one else could earlier?
I wasn't really surprised, actually. I knew the people up there, they're very smart. They're good at pushing, despite the big one, that happened that took out 3/4 of the field, basically. Everybody pushing well up that top side. It wasn't discombobulated. Everybody had that good chemistry in pushing each other where they wouldn't wreck each other. And, the momentum they would get off the corner was so dramatic or drastic. It was huge. And that's what happened with Rick at the end there. And Brendan had to pull a gutsy block. And, he almost cost himself the win because of that. But, that outside line, you just have to have the right people and the right amount of cars too, because I think you guys might have noticed that there was a good amount of cars in that outside groove. It could work. It's just a matter of who's the one that's going to lead that outside groove and the ones that are going to push. So Poti, he's very good at pushing. He was shoving Rick really well. So
that one restart, you were right there on the leader's back bumper, and now you were pushing him right away.
Oh yeah, I knew if I had pushed him, because I needed to get a good start, because I knew if, let's say, Rick had a better start than I did, he would have just blended in behind me, unless he just committed to Poteet at the time. But I was just wanting to just push someone. That's really what I was just looking for in this race. Didn't really expect much, again, like I said earlier, out of it. Was just going to have fun, and I did, so there's that.
A little quick update. Well, while you're up here, DJ, unfortunately, you're not in the playoffs. But the official word has been put in with the standings. Poteet, Schwallenberg, Roger Ray, Tyler Mallon, Natan, Dejan, Shane, Cody Lamas, Rick Johnson, and Will Goss makes it in. Any favorites right now? Because Poteet has 30. We got Poteet with 1,030, and then you got 10 back to Schwallenberg. And then we've got several drivers with 10 points, and then you've got the final three of Lamas, Rick Johnson, and Goss with 1,000 each. Any favorites going in?
That's a lot. It's hard list actually. I didn't race as much this season because of real life stuff, but Rick's pretty good. I think it's just he has a lot of bad luck. Poteet's a very consistent driver, so I'm noting some threatening people on here. Malin's kind of like Rick, where like there's inconsistency and sometimes like the tempers can get the best, can overwhelm. You know how like sometimes our emotions cloud our logic and thinking sometimes. Goss is a very consistent driver as well. You know, like all these drivers, it's the most deserving, I would say, playoff grid that I've seen because all of them have exceptional speed. You know, everybody's got what it takes to win. And I think that's what's going to make it much more wilder than it has been in like other IMRC seasons, you know, and you know, when I've been in the playoffs during the seasons, you know, making it to the final few, it's just been consistency and some drivers not attending. But in this case, with all of these drivers in such a big field this season too, you know, it's like all-time high for the league. It's actually quite astounding to see how many contenders.
And I'm looking at all these names here. I'm not sure about Goss. I believe Goss is. I don't believe Roger Ray is, and Dejan, I don't think Dejan is, but most of these guys have won a championship in one league or another, so a very competitive bunch up here.
Oh, of course, definitely. Like I said, huge gaggle of people in the playoffs that have a lot of speed. Threatening. Non-playoff guys, they're going to still race them as hard as they will. I don't know how many races I'll run for the remainder of the season for all I know, but, you know, I think some of the non-playoff guys are going to have to be careful around, you know, that mass amount of people fighting for that central championship.
Oh no, you're absolutely right. You know, you got to be careful if you're a non-playoff driver. Yeah, of course you want to go for a win, and you know you even play spoiler. You know, but you know a win's a win regardless. But you got to be careful and not mess with those guys because they're trying to run for a championship. So you're absolutely right, DJ. Before we let you go, we'll get to our race winner here, Brendan McDowell, shortly. Is there anybody you want to give a thank and a shout out to?
I just want to thank like just all the IMRC staff and just all the drivers that just participated in the event. Granted, some people have higher tempers than others, but the matter of fact is that, you know, for this league to be alive is to have an attendance, and you guys too, because you guys are the ones that broadcast this race, and you know, with broadcasting and advertising brings more viewership, more exposure to the league, and perhaps increased interest. You know, it's just really the whole staff. You know, Shane's done a good job all his time. Sometimes people give him a lot of flack from time to time, but even so, it takes a lot of effort to put everything together like this, what we see today. You know, this racing product, or even just the culture IMRC has.
No, you're absolutely right. Shane does a very, very good job with this league, and you know it's been really showing with the quality of racing that's been put out there, and like you said, the quality of drivers that find themselves in a position for the playoffs and a run at the title. That speaks volumes as to how the leadership goes. So you're absolutely right there. But that was DJ Curtis, a third place finish for him tonight in a race that, you know, he thought about not even running, and he rolls out a third place run. Good night, and good night, Curtis, and a good run for you.
Thank you very much.
Alrighty, we will now get to talk to our race winner, Brendan McDowell. This is Carlos Zimmerman and Jessica Shelton in the FRN booth. You got us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Alrighty, Brendan, man, that was a heck of a finish for you tonight. And you know, you really played that strategy card with those last two cautions. How dry was your field zone?
So it kind of worked out for me. I was in the caution for the first caution with Daniel Day ran in the back of me, just some miscommunication on coming into pit road. Spun it around, and we were told we can pit, and so I pitted, got 4 fresh tires, came in for fuel, but then I ended up getting back up in the front, and Ricky was, you know, he was in the lead ahead of me, but he went and pitted. And I was like, okay, well, I need to figure out what I'm going to do. I looked at my F3, and I said, okay, well, if I clutch it and keep it in 4 throughout all of these caution laps, I should be fine. Maybe if I get one more caution, because we're coming down to the end, I should be fine. And we ended up getting like 2 or 3 more cautions after that. So that, I mean, that I don't think I would have won it, obviously, if those 3 cautions didn't happen. So I got to thank whoever was wrecking back there. I got to thank whoever was back there. But yeah, I mean, it was. Yeah, it was running dry, but when it came to those last 5 laps, it was all out from there.
Jess?
Well, I mentioned it earlier on when you had an accident. accidental restart. I'm not sure if that was in second gear or if you spun the tires. And then after that, you were on the inside on the other restarts. I mean, were you afraid you were going to spin the tires and pretty much hand it to Tyler and Rick when they were right
I
beside you
was
on the
more
restart?
I was more worried about getting too far ahead. And honestly, I forgot because I'm so new. Because I used to race back, 3 or 4 years ago, and due to the COVID outbreak, I've started racing again. And IMRC, I've only raced one race before. And honestly, the talent level in this, and even now, it's insane how much it's gotten better since I was racing. Because we were all kids back then. Now we're older, and just everyone's so much better. So like I said, I was more worried that I was just going to get too far ahead of everybody, and they were just going to fly by me as soon as they get out there. But it never worked out that way. It usually turned out great. Even though the suck up was good, it's just that outside lane couldn't get it going on until that last straightaway.
Yeah, but that scared you, didn't it?
Yeah. So we were. It's just I thought, okay, if I get it to a white flag and I'm not in a playoff contention, I don't know anything that was going on. I was trying to get information like who do I need to help out, who do I just do not need to mess with. And I knew Ricky was one, even though he was pretty much locked in with the 59 back there.
Well, he was only 1 point out.
Yeah, so I did not want to mess with him. I did not want to mess with him until I got to that start finish line. When we got to the start finish line, I saw they have a run. I'm like, man, I can't let him get away with this. I have to win this thing, and somehow we did. And I'm glad we got cleared to finish it. I think DJ Curtis for pushing me. But yeah, it was a hell of a finish for sure.
Now, typically, some people get a little frustrated whenever you're trying to pin a guy up the track, but sometimes you just do what you got to do to win. Did Rick say anything to you after that finish?
So Rick and I had a conversation, but he was completely fine. I do know that he's had some bad luck on the end of these races. Usually he'll be leading or somewhere up there, and he'll usually get spun out or something just beyond his control. So when I found that out, and I realized, oh wait, I just screwed this kid over again. But we had a conversation, and he said he's completely fine. It's Daytona. He says, I know you just came back, and you're probably more hungry to get a win more than ever. So everything's fine. I know I would be extremely frustrated because they really worked hard in that top line, but he raced me clean, and it's like I said, I just had to get him, and that was the only way I was gonna be able to do it. That run they had coming out of 4.
Well, either way, you both hit your ultimate goal. You won the race, and then you got Rick Johnson. You finished second, able to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, so that's what I'm mostly happy about. I knew, like I said, I wasn't going to do anything until I got to second place, or to the last lap on that start finish line. But I'm glad he got second place, and I'm glad he's in the playoffs.
Well, Brendan, before we let you go for the evening, is there anybody you want to give a shout out to or give thanks for the win tonight?
I mean, I honestly, like I said, I'm just racing for fun right now during this outbreak. I kind of just last second said, all right, I'm going to race this race. I've only raced at Richmond earlier this season. So this was kind of unexpected. I noticed early in practice and everything, it's a fixed setup, but I was like, okay, well, I could get around these guys and do some good stuff here. So, yeah, it's good Super Speedway racing, and this is kind of unexpected, but I appreciate you guys for broadcasting this race.
No, it's absolutely our pleasure to be able to bring it to the world, really, to showcase your talents, and you really showed it tonight with a win. So Brendan McDowell, first place run tonight here at Daytona. You're not in the playoffs, but a win's a win, and for it being only your second race of this season of IMRC, it sure has to feel good. So a good run tonight, bud, and hopefully we get to see you one more time before the season wraps
hopefully.
up.
Thank you guys.
All right, Carlos, I want to bring up one small thing before we end on a really good note here. Next race will be at Dover, and that'll be labeled as a 100-lap race event. That'll be on May 18th. However, we and FRN will not be back for broadcasting until the following race after Dover, which would be Chicagoland for 90 laps of action on May 25th.
Alrighty, that is what will be the case. We'll be in Chicagoland in 2 weeks here on FRN, as they'll be in Dover next week to kick off the playoffs. Again, your playoff grid as they run in. Dylan Poteet with his 3 wins gets himself first. Dylan Schwallenberg with his 2 wins in second. Roger Ray in third. Tyler Mallon fourth. Nate Tanamawido fifth. Dejan Weeks sixth. Shane Side seventh, all with their 1 win. And then Cody Lamas, Ricky Johnson, and Will Goss, with the help of Robbie Gilvin tonight, race their way in to the playoffs on points. Jess, any final thoughts before we wrap it up this evening?
Well, we saw how hectic it was to try to get in the playoffs. The championship group that's in there right now. When we come back in 2 weeks, we're going to see a lot of movement, and we're going to see a lot of aggressive driving, most likely, and I can't wait for that.
You're absolutely right. It is going to be a lot of fun, the final 5 races of this season, to determine the champion of the Season 8 IMRC Cup Series here in IMRC. It was a lot of fun tonight. Brendan McDowell picking up the win tonight at Daytona in a wild finish at that. Ricky Johnson being able to race his way in, and then DJ Curtis, who didn't think he was really going to run tonight, ending up third. A definitely good night as well. Like Jess said, we'll be in Chicagoland 2 weeks here on FRN. For the meantime, across all our leagues here on FRN, please tune in for that throughout the week. It is sure to be a lot of fun across those leagues with FTF, from FTF to the NASCAR Chris Cup Series over on the iRacing circuit.
And now we've picked up RTG for some racing every so often as well.
Yes, that is true. RTG, Rolling Thunder Gaming, also jumping onto the bandwagon as well. Got to give them a shout out as well. We're glad to have them, as we are with everybody that we have on the Flatout Racing Network family of series. For Jessica Shelton, my name's Carlos Zimmerman. We'll see you in 2 weeks for Chicagoland here in the IMRC Cup Series. Once again, congratulations to Brendan McDowell on the victory, and we'll see you next time on the Flatout Racing Network. Thank you again for Jess jumping on with me tonight, along with our producer, Matthew Rodriguez, and all of us here at the Flatout Racing Network. Good
and
night.
Seth Cole.
Yes, and Seth Cole. Oh, you can't forget him. Good night from Daytona Beach, Florida.